Let's begin with news of the COVID-19 pandemic as the global number of infections has crossed 13 million with more than 572,000 deaths. Brazil has reported 733 new fatalities, taking its toll to nearly 73,000. In the U.S., more than 60,000 tested positive overnight, with a total of 3.3 million cases and over 135,000 deaths. This report has the details.
Governments around the world are in a fix to open economies or reimpose restrictions as a powerful second wave of COVID-19 infects tens of thousands every day. In the virus epicenter Latin America, Mexico reported more than 4,500 new cases and close to 500 daily deaths. In the U.S., the most populous state of California has imposed restrictions on businesses and public spaces. Florida has followed suit amid surging cases in defiance of President Donald Trump's push for opening up. But the state stopped short of making face masks mandatory.
The message is please follow the rules, maintain social distancing, wash your hands, don't touch your face with your hands, and if we all do that, then we can drive this contagion level down, we can stop the rise in the number of people going to the hospital, and then we can get back to normal much faster.
2 lawmakers in Madagascar have died after contracting COVID-19. The British government is making it mandatory to wear masks when they go into a shop from July 24th. The World Health Organization has warned that the pandemic will worsen if countries fail to take more decisive action.
Let me be blunt. Too many countries are headed in the wrong direction. The virus remains public enemy number 1, but the actions of many governments and people do not reflect of this. The only aim of the virus is to find people to infect.
In Asia, Malaysia and Singapore are set to ease border restrictions between the 2 countries to support essential businesses and official traffic. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's Disneyland is closing its gates again, less than 1 month after it reopened. South Korea's new virus cases have fallen back to below 40, while China has reported only 3 cases of coronavirus with no new infections in the capital, Beijing, for 8 straight days.
Well, here in Pakistan, the death toll from COVID-19 has surpassed 5,300, with 50 more fatalities over the past 24 hours. The health ministry said nearly 2,000 cases were reported overnight, with the tally crossing 253,000. The officials said that more than 8,700 people recovered from the virus in the past day, with a total over 170,000. The ministry said there are more than 77,000 active cases in the country. It said the province of Sindh reported the most new infections with 1,089 cases. Punjab province has reported 449 more infections. The capital, Islamabad, has registered 94 new cases. Beijing says Washington's rejection of its maritime claims in the South China Sea is completely unjustified. Beijing's embassy in the U.S. has accused Washington of inciting confrontation in the region under the false pretext of preserving stability. Earlier, in an unprecedented move, the U.S. rejected nearly all of Beijing's territorial claims in the area. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the world will not allow China to treat the energy-rich waters as its maritime empire. Pompeo said the U.S. will stand with its Southeast Asian allies and protect their sovereign rights to offshore resources consistent with international law. Japan has also accused Beijing of trying to alter the status quo in the East and South China Sea under the cover of the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. says the Taliban and Kabul have made progress on logistics for intra-Afghan talks, but more progress is needed to counter terrorism. Special Representative for Afghanistan Zalmay Khalilzad said he would press to expedite prisoner release and other commitments under the Doha Pact. Khalilzad said the U.S. has carried out the first phase of its commitments under the deal by reducing forces and departing 5 bases. He said NATO troops have also come down in proportional numbers. Khalilzad condemned the attack at a government compound, saying it contradicts commitments by the Taliban. The envoy said such action will strengthen those who oppose peace and play into the hands of spoilers. Well, the Taliban have released another 25 Afghan security officials as part of the prisoner swap under the Doha peace deal. In a tweet, the group's spokesperson, Sohail Shaheen, said they were released in Kandahar province. The Taliban spokesman said the released men were given money as transportation fare. The prisoner exchange is part of a February deal which the U.S. has signed with the Taliban in Qatar. Sudan has declared a state of emergency in the conflict-ridden western region of Darfur after escalating violence and unrest in two towns. The African Union UN mission in Darfur said it sent a team to Khartoum town following the reported burning of a police station by unidentified protesters. Eyewitnesses said an unidentified militia attacked a sit-in in Fata Borno village on Monday, killing more than a dozen people. A day earlier, security forces violently broke up another protest camp in the region. Demonstrators have called for better security conditions and an end to attacks by government-sanctioned armed groups. State governor positions are held in Sudan by military officers despite the toppling of autocrat Omar al-Bashir in April. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, thousands of opposition activists have marched across the capital, Kinshasa, against the nomination of the Election Commission's new head. Demonstrators braved the rain to voice their opposition to the proposed appointment of Ronsard Malonda. Critics in Congo say Malonda is too close to former President Joseph Kabila, who still wields strong influence. Police used tear gas to disperse crowds at another protest near Parliament and in the east of the capital. Last week, at least 3 people died in nationwide protests over Malonda's appointment. Jordan says Israel's plans to annex the occupied West Bank will dim hopes for a final settlement of the Arab-Israeli conflict. King Abdullah said the only path to lasting peace in the Middle East was the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. A palace statement said the king condemned any unilateral Israeli measure to annex lands in the West Bank. He warned annexation will fuel instability in the region. Jordan has led a diplomatic campaign along with many European countries that oppose Israel's seizure plans. In recent months, King Abdullah has warned that Israeli policies, along with the so-called U.S. peace plan, devastate Israeli-Jordanian relations. Foreign ministers of the European Union have held a meeting in Brussels to discuss relations with Turkey and the situation in Hong Kong. Ministers met in person for the first time since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak. Swedish Foreign Affairs Minister Ann Linde said she supported Franco-German efforts for a robust response to China's new security law in Hong Kong. Sweden has joined Denmark and the Netherlands in pushing the EU to consider countermeasures on Beijing. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said the bloc has agreed to develop a coordinated response to China. He also said Turkey is the most important item of the ministers' agenda.
You know that the relationship with Turkey are not especially good at that moment. And I think it's going to be an interesting discussion in order how to address this important issue.
Him for alleged war crimes during the 1998 uprising against Serbia. Prosecutors hold Thaci responsible for nearly 100 murders of civilians during that war. Ahead of the meeting, Thaci said he is ready to face the new challenge and will succeed for his people and country. Earlier, Thaci had accepted the invitation by the court to discuss allegations against him. He's previously denied involvement in any war crimes during the conflict. The indictment, which also covers alleged crimes against humanity, is not final. A judge will now take several months to decide whether the case built by the Special Prosecutor's Office is strong enough to put on trial. The UK has set out further details on the new points-based system for immigration as it exits Europe from January next year. Home Secretary Priti Patel confirmed the plans will take effect from the 1st of January 2021. The new immigration policy will treat EU and non-EU citizens equally and aims to attract people who can contribute to the UK economy. Irish citizens will continue to be able to enter and live in the UK as they do now. New immigration routes will open later this year for applications to work, live and study in the UK from January next year. People coming to the UK will need to earn a minimum salary of over $33,000. There are no exemptions in the system for low-skilled jobs. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she cannot guarantee that EU states will reach an agreement on a COVID-19 recovery fund this week. Speaking alongside the Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, she said the positions of member states remain different. Merkel said Italy and Germany agreed on the basic structure of the EU proposals. She said the proposal will be discussed on Friday at the EU summit. Conte said EU states must work hard to avoid splitting the union in north and south, east and west. He said Italy is working on a recovery plan and wants such a plan to be accepted by European institutions. I'll be back after this break with plenty more news. Stay tuned for that. Let's begin this segment in France, where the government has agreed to give a pay raise worth $9 billion to health workers as it hailed their role in fighting COVID-19. The government signed a deal with trade unions after 7 weeks of fraught negotiations. Under the deal, the monthly pay of health workers will rise by some $207 on average. At the signing ceremony, France's new Prime Minister, Jean Castex, said it is the recognition of the frontline soldiers in the fight against COVID-19.
This is a historic moment for our health system. The state has cleared a budget of more than 8 billion euros for its health system, embodied by those who support it on a daily basis. That is to say, all the personnel, whatever their category, their establishment and their services.
A Spanish judge has barred Catalan authorities from confining about 160,000 people to their homes. Despite the ruling, Catalan leader Quim Torra urged people to stay home to stem a surge in coronavirus cases. Torra said that he will approve a new decree to make it compulsory. Last month, Spain lifted a nationwide confinement when the pandemic seemed to have come under control. With dozens of new clusters seen around the country, local authorities are taking new measures to lock down small areas. People in the Lleida area have been banned from leaving it since July 4th, but the judge ruled that the move by regional authorities to impose home confinement went too far. The United Nations says Pakistan has achieved the UN's Sustainable Development Goal for protecting the environment and holding off climate change. The UN Development Programme said Islamabad attained SDG 13 well before the 2030 deadline. The bloc said it celebrated the milestone and the strategic partnership with Pakistan's Ministry of Climate Change. The UNDP said it is crucial that to limit the increase in global means temperature to 2 degrees Celsius or less. In a separate statement, the ministry said Pakistan has achieved a crucial milestone on the road to environmental protection. The UN's Sustainable Development Goals were adopted to address risks across economic, social, and environmental domains. Croatia says it will need to wait at least 2 more years to participate in the European exchange rate mechanism. That was announced at the 6th session of the National Council for Introduction of Euro in the capital Zagreb. The finance minister, Zdravko Maric, said the country can only enter ERM2 after meeting nominal Maastricht criteria. Maric said the 2-year period will allow Zagreb to prepare and fulfill these measures. The Croatian National Bank Governor, Boris Vujicic, said the central bank will supervise banks in collaboration with the European Central Bank. Asian stock markets are trading lower as hopes of revival of economic activity fade over resurgence of COVID-19. Investors have resorted to profit-taking as they continue to shy away from pushing a long-term stock rally. The Shanghai Composite is trading over 2% lower, ending its winning streak. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index is trading over 1.5% lower. Japan's Nikkei 225 has lost nearly 1%. Seoul's Kospi has lost over 0.5%. Meanwhile, the international benchmark Brent crude has lost over 1.5% despite recovery in demand. Time now to find out what the weather is like around the world. Well, for the latest updates on these and other stories, you can always follow us on our social media at Indus.News. Thanks for watching.